What's up, everyone? So, I recently covered this massive announcement from Ripple. And honestly, this isn't just another corporate press release. This is literally the moment we've been waiting for. Here's what's happening right now. Institutional payments have officially arrived. We're talking secure asset custody, fully regulated stablecoins, everything happening on-chain. This isn't some future prediction anymore. This is today. And listen, the convergence between crypto and traditional finance, it's not coming, it's here. We don't need to sit around speculating about what-if scenarios anymore. This transformation is unfolding right in front of our eyes as we speak. But here's the crazy part. Most people are completely missing it. I totally get why though. We're all glued to those price charts, watching every pump and dump. And yeah, I'll be honest with you. The price action lately has been pretty brutal. But here's what you need to understand, and this is crucial. These price movements aren't reflecting the real value of these networks, not even close. Think about it. If price actually matched utility and adoption, would everything still be following Bitcoin's every move? Of course not. We're still heavily tied to Bitcoin's price action. And until we break that cycle and start seeing utility drive the market instead of speculation, we're not going to see the true value of these assets. But Ripple's statement here? Absolutely spot on. And actually, we heard some incredible insights from Jack McDonald at Ripple Swell that I want to share with you in just a second. But first, let me break down the game changer here. The secret sauce for institutional payments moving completely on-chain is having liquid, stable assets. That's where regulated stablecoins become absolutely critical. We need massive amounts of liquidity to handle the tsunami of demand that's coming from these institutional players. All right, let's dive into what Jack McDonald had to say about what's actually driving this stablecoin explosion.
Crypto's having a moment and stablecoins are having a moment in the moment, if you will. And I think what's driving the growth of stablecoins is a couple things. We have some regulatory tailwinds specific to stablecoins around the Genius Act, which has really given a signal to institutions that you can come into this market and use these assets in all sorts of different ways.
Now this is where things get really exciting. Regulations aren't just talk anymore. They're becoming reality and fast. The Clarity Act is basically 90% done, which is huge because it's been the biggest roadblock for crypto adoption. This is the clear signal institutions have been waiting for to finally dive into this market head first. That's exactly why staying on top of these legislative developments is so important, because when these bills pass, it's going to be game over for anyone who wasn't prepared. The Genius Act was already a massive win, and now we're seeing even more progress. Jack McDonald dropped some serious news on November 6th. He wrapped up day 2 of Swell 2025 with major ROUSD updates and hosted a panel with some heavy hitters: OKX, Securitize, and B2C2 Group. But here's the kicker. They're collaborating with MasterCard, WebBank, and Gemini to bring ROUSD settlement on XRP for fiat credit card payments. Let that sink in for a second. We're talking about XRP being used for actual, real-world credit card transactions. This is the infrastructure revolution happening right now. And the momentum just keeps building. They're extending their partnership with Securitize, and now private credit is directly connected to tokenized treasuries. Hamilton Lane and HScope are getting RLUSD liquidity through VanEck's USV bill integration. But here's what blew my mind. Over the weekend, they crossed $1 billion in market cap in less than a year since launching in 2024. Let me show you these numbers because they're absolutely insane. Looking at RLUSD on the stablecoin market cap tracker, we're sitting at roughly $1.1 billion. That's up over 27% in just the last 30 days. At this rate, it's about to flip USDTB, and honestly, we're scratching into the top 10 stablecoins territory. That's incredible growth. The data tells an amazing story too. That $1.1 billion represents a 27% jump in 30 days. While monthly transfer volume is down slightly, holders are increasing and monthly active addresses are climbing. But check this out. The value shift on the XRP ledger is massive. We're almost at $203 million, up a staggering 119%. The overall stablecoin market cap on XRPL, up 46% in the last 30 days, with RLUSD leading that charge alongside several other stablecoins. Now, Reese Merrick from Ripple dropped some serious truth bombs recently. He said something that perfectly captures what we've been talking about for years. For years, fintechs have been frantically trying to build global payment rails to avoid the traditional correspondent banking network. The result? Hundreds of banking partners, thousands of Nostro Vostro accounts. And remember, we've been tracking this $27 trillion Nostro Vostro system since way back in 2021, and billions of dollars just sitting there, trapped and idle, all to pre-fund settlement. Every new corridor means another account to fund. Every new currency means more liquidity locked up for days. This isn't scalability. It's expensive plumbing disguised as progress. But stablecoins, they completely change the game. One global liquidity pool, instant settlement, minimal fees, and capital efficiency that actually scales with volume. Ripple's been saying this for years. The future of cross-border payments isn't more bank accounts. It's using digital assets that move at internet speed. RLUSD, XRP, and the XRPL. This is the internet of value we've been talking about. This is where those Nostro Vostro accounts get completely unlocked and the entire payments landscape transforms. But wait, there's more. We just got some massive regulatory updates that are going to blow your mind. First up, the SEC just dropped crypto from its 2026 priorities. Coin Bureau broke this news, and it's huge. The new exam plan doesn't even mention crypto, which suggests it's no longer being treated as this special high-risk area. This is exactly what we wanted to see. Crypto is shifting from being viewed as this dangerous, risky asset class to something regulators actually want to see succeed. They want positive progress. They want crypto to become the efficient asset class it's meant to be. And most importantly, they want it integrated into the traditional system. But the SEC wasn't done. Another bombshell just dropped. The SEC says banks can now hold crypto to pay blockchain network fees. This might sound like a small technical detail, but trust me, this is absolutely massive. What this really means is that regulators are officially recognizing public blockchains as legitimate financial infrastructure and gas fees as normal operating expenses for banks. It's a quiet but crystal clear signal that US banks aren't just supposed to watch from the sidelines anymore. They're expected to actually use crypto rails for their operations. And speaking of regulatory clarity, the OCC just dropped another bombshell on November 18th. They officially confirmed that banks can engage in permissible activities related to paying crypto asset network fees. Yes, gas fees. Let me break this down for you, because the timing here is absolutely mind-blowing. This announcement came exactly 4 days before ISO 2022 goes live. ISO 2022's cutoff date? November 22nd. So just 4 days before this massive financial standard launches, the OCC confirms that banks can hold crypto to pay blockchain network fees. Listen, I don't believe in coincidences, especially not in this space. We already know Swift and all the major financial players have been talking about integrating crypto and stablecoin initiatives into their systems. The timing here is way too perfect to be random. This is 100% connected to ISO 20022 launching in 4 days. But wait, it gets even better. The American banker just published something that gave me chills. They're saying banks are finally waking up to what they're calling the greatest wealth transfer in history. We're talking about $80 trillion shifting to digital native generations who expect money to move instantly. Uphold's CEO sat down with American banker to talk about what comes next. And honestly, this conversation is everything we've been predicting.
What banks are waking up to is, over the next 15 years, there's going to be the largest wealth transfer in history.
It's already started.
It's already started, from baby boomers and Gen X to Gen Z and Gen Alpha. $80 trillion of wealth is going to be transferred to digital native generations. You know, these are people who are going to expect money and investments to be as instantly movable as a text or a video file. And, blockchain really is best seen as a recognition that most money and financial assets are just digital information on ledgers.
Right.
But in the legacy world, there are lots of different ledgers that don't talk to each other. And so you end up with unnecessary friction and cost and intermediaries, whereas this new coming generation is going to expect instant movement of money globally. And that's what blockchain facilitates. So, the big story here is banks need to prepare for what this coming digital native generation are going to want, from financial services. And at the most basic level, they're going to want access to digital assets.
This is exactly what we've been screaming about for years. Banks have no choice but to wake up and prepare for this moment. This is where everything shifts into reality, where ISO 2022 officially goes live and mandates that banks completely overhaul their internal processes. This is them literally flipping the switch to new technologies. Not every bank will choose the same network, but we're seeing this massive coordinated shift happening right before our eyes. And the alignment? It's absolutely perfect. Like I keep saying, this isn't coincidental. This has been planned and aligned for years. But 2025, this is the year everything comes together. We're witnessing 3 major transformations happening simultaneously. First, the complete institutionalization of crypto. Second, the crypto space maturing in ways we've never seen before. And third, crypto becoming fully regulated across the board. All of this is setting the stage for the next massive shift. Utility-based projects becoming the main driver of the entire crypto market instead of speculation. And here's something that will blow your mind. Shout out to Smoke Dog for finding this gem. Get ready for this stat. 91% of financial institutions will be ready for the ISO 2022 November 2025 deadline. But here's the kicker. At the exact same time, cryptocurrency, stablecoins, and tokenization are moving into the mainstream. ISO 2022's enhanced data model is going to be absolutely critical for converting between digital and fiat assets. But wait, this is where it gets really interesting. Barclays and Swift are saying that the November 2025 ISO 2022 deadline isn't the end of the payments industry transformation. It's just the beginning. This standard is going to be the foundation that enables massive innovations across instant payments, APIs, open banking, and digital assets. Swift is expecting 91% of financial institutions to hit this November deadline. And right alongside that timeline, crypto, stablecoins, and tokenization are going mainstream. The enhanced data capabilities of ISO 2022 are specifically designed to handle conversions between digital and traditional fiat assets. This isn't just an upgrade. This is the infrastructure being built for the tokenized economy. And here's a quote that really caught my attention from the Swift report. I honestly think that we'll see as an actual sort of vertical in November with a big bang. We'll probably see some gentle adoption between now and Fedwire migration in July. They're saying we'll see adoption climb from the current 40% to maybe 50 to 55% by July. Then it'll plateau before we get this massive big bang moment in November. Can you imagine? All these institutional players have been preparing for this exact moment. This is why ISO 2022 is absolutely crucial to understand. This isn't just some boring banking standard. This literally mandates that banks upgrade their entire internal processes. We're talking about their entire back-end tech stack getting completely overhauled. This is where we'll see major new innovations and cutting-edge technologies moving into the next phase of adoption by the biggest banks in the world. And that's when everything changes. The adoption rates, the actual usage, and most importantly, the demand flowing through these networks. Now, let me be crystal clear about something. This isn't going to happen overnight. It's not like on November 22nd, we wake up and suddenly everything's different. But this is absolutely where we start seeing the beginning phase of this massive transformation. And this is what gets me incredibly excited about these major initiatives. A lot of people have been saying, oh, ISO 20022 doesn't mean anything for crypto. But they're completely wrong. This standard literally enables banks to adopt and utilize new technologies, including blockchain-based technology. This is the moment we've been building toward, and it's happening right now. The infrastructure is being put in place, the regulations are clearing up, and the institutional adoption is accelerating. We're witnessing history in the making. Alright everyone, I hope you found this breakdown as exciting as I did. If you're seeing the bigger picture here and want to stay ahead of these massive developments, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of these game-changing updates.